This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
We Americans are under attack by our own government. We, the people, have no choice but to once again defend our freedom. This has all happened before, and we can learn much from the American Revolution. Starting in 1763, to pay for debts incurred from a war with France, the British began enforcing new taxes on the American colonies. In response to this, the colonies set up their own parallel government, based on a simple structure of 3 committees delegated to voice the will of the people. A committee of correspondence to disseminate information, a committee of inspection to enforce Continental Congress decisions, and the most important of the 3, a committee of safety to act as general executive in the absence of legal authority. These committees stemmed from each community of all the colonies, and each and every local committee of safety had 2 missions: to provide military support and monitor political affairs. Each community delegated its own representatives to speak on their behalf at the county level, and then at the state level, where state legislatures are thereby formed, and senators are elected to represent the overall interests of the people in that state. With these committees, the 13 colonies honorably created a parallel government that lawfully nullified British rule. This compelled the Crown to take it back by force, which was met by an honorable and lawful defense of the colonies, known as the American Revolution. The 3-committee structure that made up this parallel government inspired our U.S. Constitution, a concept of government based upon delegation. Individuals were not elected to rule. Their only purpose was to facilitate and implement the will of the people. It was a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Each state was considered to be its own country, which was freely subordinating aspects of its own authority to a federal government. Lawfully speaking, this has never changed, but the federal government of the United States has become bloated with loyalists to the City of London and enemies of we the people. For well over a century, we the people have been coerced into becoming voluntary slaves to a multinational corporate power structure, which has increasingly dumbed us down more and more with each generation. Unconstitutional amendments have been enacted. Constitutional limits of representation have been ignored. And by accepting Federal Reserve banknotes, we have made ourselves a dishonorable nation of debtors. By continually contracting with the corporate U.S. being operated out of the Washington, D.C. city-state, Americans are perpetually surrendering their constitutional sovereignty in return for corporate benefits. We share a common enemy with our founding fathers. Today we call them globalists. Back then they called them British, a foreign power exploiting the will and destiny of Americans. And back then, their remedy was the Committee of Safety. This is happening again today. Communities are forming their own committees of safety. An excellent example is Santa Rosa County, Florida, where the Recall Florida movement sprang from. which seeks to empower the citizens of Florida with the ability to recall county commissioners for corruption, malfeasance, and neglect of duty. The county sheriff is charged with upholding the supreme law of the Constitution. And with your county government in line with your county sheriff, citizens of that county will have the lawful parallel government they need to liberate themselves from contracts made with the corporate U.S. because the powers held by the sheriff supersede those of any government official when in the jurisdiction of that county. The PSYOP today is meant to make you feel dependent upon the federal government, but that has always been your choice. And it's not the only choice. You can contact your local sheriff and ask him about his oath to uphold the Constitution. You can form committees of safety, and you can lawfully purge your local government of corruption. But it requires action, and time is quickly running out. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Seymour Hersh, relying on unnamed national security sources, recently published an article on his Substack about the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. Two pipelines, known as Nord Stream 1, provided Western Europe with cheap Russian gas for more than a decade. These pipelines were seen by NATO as a threat to Western dominance. Profits were shared with the Russian government and provided up to 45% of their annual budget. A second pair, called Nord Stream 2, had been built, but were not yet operational. NATO was concerned that as long as Europe remained dependent upon these pipelines, Germany would be reluctant to supply Ukraine with money and weapons to fight Russia. And so the Biden administration authorized Jake Sullivan to assemble a task force with members of the Biden White House, the CIA, and the Pentagon to come up with a plan for the destruction of the pipelines. The operation was run by Victoria Nuland, Anthony Blinken, and Jake Sullivan. The Navy proposed using a submarine to assault the pipeline directly. The Air Force proposed dropping bombs with delayed fuses. And the CIA argued that whatever was done, it would have to be covert, because if the attack was traced to the U.S., then it would be an act of war. In early 2022, right after the CIA reported to Sullivan that they had a plan, both Victoria Nuland and President Biden publicly threatened to bring an end to Nord Stream 2.
If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2.
According to the source, this public announcement meant that blowing up the pipeline no longer could be considered a covert option, and that there was no longer a legal requirement to report their plans to Congress. The Americans partnered with Norway, who had their own motivations for the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines, which would allow them to sell more of their own natural gas to Europe. In March of 2022, members of the team flew to Norway to meet with the Norwegian Secret Service. The Norwegian Navy decided on a spot in the shallow waters of the Baltic Sea, a few miles off Denmark's Bornholm Island, where the divers, operating from a Norwegian Alta-class mine hunter, would plant C4 charges with concrete protective covers on the 4 pipelines. Divers were chosen from the U.S. Navy's Diving and Salvage Center in Panama City, which specializes in training deepwater divers to use C4 explosives because they were Navy only and not members of America's Special Operations Command, whose covert operations would need to be reported to Congress. The mission was secretly embedded into an annual training exercise already scheduled for June of 2022, known as Baltic Operations 22, or BaltOps 22, wherein the Panama City divers would place C4 explosives with a 48-hour timer attached. But the White House then worried that triggering the explosion within 2 days of the well-publicized training exercise would make it obvious that America was responsible. And so it was decided that the C4 would be triggered by a sonar buoy, later dropped by plane. The buoy would emit a sequence of unique low-frequency tonal sounds to trigger the explosives. On September 26, 2022, a Norwegian Navy P-8 surveillance plane dropped the sonar buoy. The signal spread underwater, and a few hours later, the high-powered explosives were triggered, and 3 of the 4 pipelines were put out of commission. According to Hirsch's national security sources, it was a beautiful cover story. It was a covert operation that placed experts in the field and equipment that operated on a covert signal. The only flaw was the decision to do it.
Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Truth Talk podcast. I'm back here with MI.
What's up, y'all?
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Charleston White. Let's get right into it. For those of you who don't know, Charleston White is a 52-year-old internet personality and comedian from Texas who rose to internet popularity last year in 2022. Charleston was all over the internet last year, and if you were on social media, it was impossible to avoid him. He became popular for advocating snitching and for taunting those who live by the street code.
Now, you want to start a Boy Scout snitch organization?
Yeah, I want to teach and train young boys. Snitching is what telling is.
Charleston has gone viral many times over for his outrageous, yet in some cases, brutally honest takes on hip-hop culture and gang culture. The main argument that Charleston seems to make is that hip-hop is hypocritical, as rappers would rap about catching bodies and smoking on the ops, but then take offense when others disrespect their fallen ops. He explains that rappers rap about it all the time, so why would they get offended if others disrespect them as well? He also openly advocates for snitching, taunting his internet foes, claiming they won't do nothing to him because he will call the cops on them and snitch on them. Charleston White is like a double-edged sword. One moment he is talking about change and strengthening the black community, becoming an advocate against violence and gangs, and has even held events encouraging the youth to avoid the street life, which is a part of his youth program called HYPE, which stands for Helping Young People Excel. The next moment, you see a complete different side of him, as you can find videos of Charleston being extremely disrespectful, taking things way too far for content and clout. You can find videos of Charleston disrespecting famous fallen rappers like King Von, going as far as saying F King Von's mother. The amount of disrespect and profanity in this one video where Charleston is talking about King Von's mom is so much that I won't even play the clip here. Charleston has made so many questionable comments that would make you overlook any of the positive community work he has done. His desire for internet fame and money has driven him mad and has convinced him disrespecting and taunting those affected by the street is a solution for the problems plaguing it, when in reality, he is simply profiting from disrespecting misguided children, turning them into viral content. Even though some of what Charleston states I can agree with, what I don't agree with is the way he goes about making his points and expressing himself. He has turned his entire message into some sort of reality show for the masses to watch. I do believe hip-hop is hypocritical, and I also believe hip-hop is misguiding the youth. That part of Charleston's message I 100% agree with. What I don't agree with is taunting those that are misguided and have been tricked and manipulated into living a certain lifestyle. You're not offering them a solution by making fun of those that have passed away and disrespecting people's mothers. Charleston, out of all people, should understand kids make mistakes. Young people do things that they later go on to regret, something Charleston should be very familiar with. See, Charleston doesn't have a squeaky clean background as you might think. He actually spent 6.5 years of his young life in prison for a mistake he made as a child years ago. See, when Charleston was in his teens in the early 90s, he got himself wrapped up in some serious trouble. Charleston and a few of his friends desperately wanted some jackets that were being sold at a local Foot Locker. He and his friend decided that they were going to take the jackets without paying for them, which they ended up doing. As they were running out of the Foot Lockers with the jackets, a man outside working on his car saw them running out and attempted to stop them. This turned out to be a fatal mistake for the bystander, as he would pay the ultimate price when Charleston handed his friend a piece and his friend let go at the man leaving him on the parking lot floor. Charleston was eventually arrested for his crimes and was released in 1999 and has never gone back to prison. Knowing Charleston was once one of the very kids he so openly disrespects nowadays baffles me. It's almost like he has forgotten his past, forgotten that he himself was once a child who was misguided and dumb. He made decisions he is no longer proud of and should allow these kids the same opportunity. We can all agree these children are all being misguided and are being influenced to destroy each other. But we need to help them, not ridicule them. In my opinion, a man like Charleston has sold out and is willing to do and say anything for fame. And it's the reason why not so long ago, he went as far as disrespecting and wishing evil on Chicago children. In this video here, we can see Charleston not only wishing death, but praying to Jesus that he helps destroy the children of Chicago.
These kids catch the kid with the big gun to keep their BD friend and one of them and accidentally an innocent person in their family, and the war in Chicago keep going. I pray in the name of Jesus, Father God, right now. I plead the blood of Jesus on the ones that's killing each other. I plead the blood of Jesus on the ones in Chicago that each other, that they hit one another and not innocent people. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. That's back, children. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Wooski, I'm gonna your mother. All of you guys are demons. Because of FBG Duck, he was a serial killer. His other brother was a killer. You guys are cursed demons from Wooski to 16 to the whole Chicago because they call themselves Chirac and pride themselves with arrogance of destruction and hate and anger and pain, and they pride themselves on it. They're gonna be destroyed. They're gonna destroy themselves. They're gonna murder one another. Their children are gonna kill and one another. We're watching it happen before the world in Chirac. They're proud to be Chirac. You're gonna die, Chirac children. You're gonna die. You now, aren't you? Look.
In this one video, Charleston takes it way too far, wishing evil on children and praying that evil is done to them. There's no way this man is really standing for good. He is an agent of chaos, profiting off the hurt of urban communities. These kids are still kids and can still be helped and guided in the right path. We don't need to talk down on them. We need to help them find the truth. The first time I saw Charleston, I found it very interesting because he's indeed making good points, you know? Why should people make songs making fun of other people that are fallen and then feel some type of way when they get the same treatment? So I understand his point and I understand how he's criticizing the entire hip-hop culture and how it affects the youth. But then he's in the same breath adding to that negative energy, adding to the problem by disrespecting all these people and not really offering a solution.
To me, he's another 6ix9ine, man. He's a clout chaser. He disrespects people. He disrespects their kids. He disrespects other kids of the youth. It's like he's looking for something to happen, you know?
We often see him. He tests a lot of the so-called gangsters online and tells them that they won't do anything to him because he'll snitch on them or he has his piece on him to protect himself. All this stuff, but it doesn't add up to what he's so-called pushing. Like his positive message, his I'm helping my community, I'm strengthening the black community, I'm standing for the black community. How are you standing for that community if you're talking about the mothers of the kids from those communities? If you're talking about wishing destruction on those kids, on those very kids that you're claiming to be helping. You know, me and you, we definitely understand what the street is, and we definitely understand how hip-hop affects that. But do you think that he's doing something positive by this? Do you think that there's any positive really coming out of what Charleston White is doing?
Nah, the dude is all negative. He's all the way negative. All he does is talk. Bro, listen, if you listen to him, he talks crazy all day long. I've never seen an interview with him talking nothing good. Personally, I don't really watch him like that. Every time I see him, it's Soulja Boy running down on him. He's sprayed him with mace.
Some would argue that in some instances, at least he's making people aware, like he's pointing out the ugly truth. For example, like there's things that he has done, like he gathered all the moms of the victims. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what he did of the Chicago drill scene. Like he got FBG Duck's mom, he got Tuka's mom, he got a couple of these Chicago moms from these drill artists or fallen drill soldiers that were in that prime era of drill music in Chicago. He got them all together and he kind of like showed the world how their lives have been since their sons passed.
I mean, that's cool and all, but he does that and then he turns around and he's out there wishing death on all the young kids that's either growing up in this lifestyle
or that are gonna grow up and listen and follow this lifestyle due to the music. Can't do that.
That's where I feel that he does it for the camera, that he does it for social media, entertainment purposes, because the fact that he wants to disrespect everybody and he wants to target these high profile names, you can honestly see that it's for clout. But then, like I said, like the message in the chorus somewhat is respectable. Like the fact that they shouldn't be making music where they're taunting each other. But I get what you're saying. There's not a positive way of how he's saying this message. There is none. There's no way. You can't find it because you can't be positive and in the same breath be negative. You're no longer being positive, you know?
There's no positive if you're disrespecting people's kids. Like the other day, he was on live, I think, with some dude, and the dude is telling him, "You're not coming over here to my city." And he's like, "I'll be there this date." And the dude says, "I put that on my daughter." And he just disrespects the baby. F that B. You know, like, come on. That's positive? That's stupidity and ignorance is what it is.
You know, it does bring up the larger question, though. Why are people like this becoming famous? What is it about someone like Charleston White that's allowing him to become popular? Because, yeah, we get it. He makes a lot of controversial remarks. But if he's doing it for the sake of clout, why would we give him that clout? You know, that's like someone that's so desperate for attention that's willing to crash out. And he's actually doing all types of crazy things. And people are still somehow giving them that attention, them knowing that he's doing it for attention. You get my point? Charleston is interesting because somehow he made himself popular by disrespecting all these people.
All he did was follow what 6ix9ine did. Disrespect everybody. Disrespect the people who aren't here to defend themselves, like King Von and everybody. That's like right now, we decide to make a video disrespecting somebody, right? We know that they friends, they're fans. Everybody's gonna tune in on that, you know? He's doing everything 6ix9ine did in his own way. 6ix9ine went to the rapping route. He's going with the comedy route because now he's selling out comedy shows.
You're right. You're 100% right. I never really looked at it like that, but he definitely does resemble 6ix9ine because even 6ix9ine does this as well. Like 6ix9ine's thing now is about snitching. He's trying to say that all rappers snitch. And he is proving it in a way, but the way that he's coming about it, the way that he's doing it is in a negative way. He's taunting the rappers, he's disrespecting them, he's yelling at them, instead of just saying, look, yeah, I snitched, I did snitch myself. 6ix9ine snitched on my gang because I was afraid and blah, 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 whatever reason he had. But then he can say, you know, there's other rappers that snitch too. This rapper snitch, you know, this rapper snitch. But the way he does it is like Charleston White. He wants to disrespect people by doing it. He wants to say, oh, all of these rappers are snitches. F anybody who supports them and that's how he talks because it's going to get him more attention. And you're right. That's the same exact thing Charleston White does. Charleston White can just say, you know, guys, we shouldn't support this music. We shouldn't rap about destroying each other because it's bad. Basically what we already do. And instead of him saying, you know, F the Chicago kids or F this and I hope the worst happens to everybody. That right there, we can tell it's just attention seeking. And it's so sad that so many people are giving him that attention. If you guys want to support him, at least tell him to stick to the good. At least tell him, you know, if you want to have this youth program, if you want to gather the moms of the fallen and try to help them, because he supposedly gave money to FBG Duck's mom and try to look out for her. And so they had a problem and FBG Duck's mom had to go and get money on OnlyFans out of all places. We cannot deny that there's definitely a problem within drill music, within hip-hop culture as a whole. But by us bashing these kids, I don't think we're getting anywhere. I don't think we're helping any of them. And I don't think any of them are going to get it. That's like when your mom yells at you for doing something bad, you most likely are not going to listen to your mom when she yells at you. But if she wanted to explain to you, you know, and try to help you understand what was wrong, you have a better chance of being like, well, you're right.
I can't follow him. I can't be a fan of his because of the way he is and the way he disrespect. You know, I'm a dude. I like respecting people. That's what we do. We like to respect people. And if we trying to send a message out, we're not going to send it out in a way that the whole world is going to tune in and look at us as villain instead of somebody good that we really want good. When you really want good, you show that.
There's so many people that are rising up like as these anti-hero type figures like we saw with Andrew Tate. We saw with Kevin Samuels. Now we're seeing with Charleston White. They're heroes, but they're not really heroes. They're almost like villains, you know? Like we're representing something good, but we're doing it in a negative way. Andrew Tate, he's freeing you from the matrix and helping you become financially rich and have whatever you want. Kevin Samuels and like the Fresh and Fit guys, they're helping you stand up to women and learn your value as men, but they're all doing it as villains. You understand? Same thing with Charleston White. He's trying to expose his culture and let people see the truth about the damage hip hop is causing and drill music is causing. But he's doing it in a way that it's like a clown, like he's just doing it for attention and profit and make money. People like this, it's better not to have them on your side. It's better not to support them. The question for this video is, should Charleston White be trusted? Should we support a man like Charleston White? And I don't think so. I honestly don't. I believe that he is just as negative and just as much as a problem as the music is causing itself, you know?
If somebody were to come up to me and ask me, what does Charleston White stand for? I wouldn't even be able to give them the answer. Some people might think he's doing good, but to me, I think he's a disrespectful dude. He has no regard toward children. He's disrespecting people's kids, saying F that B, or I hope they all perish. You know, like, I can't respect that. So I wouldn't have an answer for somebody if they came up to me and asked.
Honestly, I feel like Charleston White is just as part of the agenda as all the rest of the rappers, and that's the reason why he's so popular, and that's the reason why he exists today. I don't think that if he was truly a threat, he would have risen so quickly and have gotten so popular and have had people like academics and actually put them on their platform and interview them, because he is representing the same problem. You know, he's just trying to act. He's almost like Lucifer. You know, Lucifer will present himself as some type of hero. And that's what I see from Charleston White. He presents himself as some type of hero. He says things that'll make you think, oh yeah, maybe this guy is actually a good guy. But then if you just watch him a little longer, he starts to reveal his true colors. He starts to reveal what he's really there for. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. I want to appreciate each and every one of you for coming by. Before you guys go, I want to let you guys know that I just released a Patreon video on the Ohio situation. You guys can go check that out if you're a Patreon. Thank you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Yo, did y'all see the president of Uganda and what they got going on with America? Right? If you haven't seen it, oh my God, check this out, bro. The president of Uganda, right, was told by America, right, that if he do not accept the homosexual thing in Uganda, that they're going to stop giving them help or aid. They're going to stop giving them aiding or helping them if they do not accept it. And guess what? His name, Museveni. Guess what Museveni said? The president of Uganda, he said, hell no. They're not going to accept it. Now, what you got to first realize is this. Me personally, I don't give a damn what your sexual preference is. That's your body. But the same way you want people to respect you and what you like, you have to respect what people like and don't like. Also, two, America don't give a damn about your sexual preference. Don't ever think that you're important because they're pushing for this bill or they're pushing for equality. These motherfuckers would never in life push for equality. They're using you. They're using that group, right, for their agenda. What is their agenda? Depopulation. They don't want us humping. They don't want us creating families. They don't want us creating children. Okay? They would have on themselves and said, there's too many people on earth. Who in the give them the audacity to even say that? Okay? Another thing is this. This is why they created Planned Parenthood. And it's in the hood. I remember back in the day, they paid us $60 a piece to take a sex education class. And they taught us about condoms. Now it makes sense. They wanted us to wear condoms. They didn't want us humping. They create all these different things. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The big AID and other things to stop us from. All this is depopulation, bro. And I got this double salute, Museveni, the president of Uganda, for saying no. They went on national TV and said this. Oh, if you don't accept these, we're going to stop giving you aid. But he said, I don't give a damn. He said, man, we strong enough. We don't need y'all. He also said America aiding them or giving them help is part of the problem. So this is two birds with one stone. My thing is this. I respect all. One of my best cousins that passed away, right? Name is Toby. One of my best cousins, I love him to death, passed away. He also was, and I didn't judge him. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge you for who you are. I'm sure a lot of people don't, to be honest. But if you don't see the bigger picture that they're using that community to push their own agenda, because again, this is the devil you're dealing with. There's nothing about these people that is righteous. And I'm finna explain that in a second. But just understand that them pushing this on different countries now to people that respectfully don't want it, spiritually don't want it, and just, this their life. If they don't want to accept it, just like you want someone to accept something, you got to respect if a person don't want to accept it. But when America steps in and force anything, it's for their own good. I'm going to tell you why. Because America do what they call a Jewish deal. What is a Jewish deal? I told y'all about this before. A Jewish deal is when no matter how you toss the coin, they win. No risk. Because everything about these people is take, take, take. You're dealing with the devil. So everything about these people, this is about crippling you at a disadvantage, putting you in a place or putting you in a position where you're gonna need them for resources, for money, for education, for everything. Because again, they don't play fair. Getting over on you is what they call fair. So no matter how the coin is tossed, they're gonna win. They're gonna always walk. If they go left, they're gonna walk away a winner. If they go right, they're gonna walk away a winner. They never do deals where they are at risk. And it's nothing they ever do for the betterment of you or me or people in general. Remember, there's a hierarchy. Every country have a hierarchy. You think China is really going against America and America really going against all these motherfuckers in cahoots, man. It's the hierarchy. They're all together, controlling all us at the bottom. But I gotta double salute them because we need more people like Museveni to stand up on things like this when America come throwing their weight around. Because this is just one thing, okay? All the shit that Queen Elizabeth and their whole regime have done to people, especially third world people, because these people, they don't have the resources or the money to fight stuff back. So when people go missing, and I'm talking about not the big people, the adults, but I'm trying to watch my words, but when they go missing and stuff like that, they can't go look after these people. Let me tell y'all something. From the day I was born up until today, all I ever read about or heard about was there's a group of people that want to control everything or controlling everything, and there's poor people. They display dictatorship on every level. Look at Transformers. Look how the government try to take Transformers, right, and try to take their technology, always putting themselves, because that's just, they just mentally want the viewers to understand that, yeah, these are Transformers, but we as people got power too. It's all about the perception. So whoever controls your perception controls you. Remember that. So this is why they'll always put this in TV. They'll always put this in movies because they want you to continuously think and know that, nigga, we run shit. Even though we can take over this shit like this because it's more of us than them. But when they got our minds and got us thinking individually, I'm talking about we will never overthrow this shit. And that's why I say I don't care what color you are. You could be black. You could be white. Spanish. Your ass could be tan. Puerto Rican. Dominican. Russian. Chinese. I don't give a damn what you is. We all have one common enemy. And it's them against us. But when they got you thinking like you a part of them, or you got a little more privilege, you know what I'm saying? Or you got a little more money, you think you a little more better. No, the fuck you ain't. No, you're not. You're not a part of the hierarchy. So as soon as we recognize that and can understand that, we can start coming together and we can overthrow this shit. Because right now, our children's, and even us, in trouble. So if you haven't heard about it, I just told you about it. President of Uganda, he don't want to accept that, that policy coming from America. And America saying if he don't accept it, that they're going to stop giving them help. And he's saying, fuck y'all. I don't give a damn. Y'all give me up or not. And to my people who's out there, like I say, man, I don't care what you are, bro. They saying, I ain't ass kissing. I ain't doing that because I don't do that. At the end of the day, bro, you is you. I am me. but it's all about respect. So we understand, America will never do nothing to fight for equality. You better watch. They want you to watch this hand, but you better pay attention to the other hand. Because that's how magic is done. They get your attention over here while they doing what they got to do over there. And I'm telling you, you can go through all the history of this shit. The government ain't never did nothing good for people. It was always to protect the rich. And once the rich is protected, they're able to continue to run things the way they've been doing and want to do. But like I tell you, once AI step in fully, y'all think these artificial intelligence apps are here. Anything with whatever.io or artificial intelligence apps and programs and stuff like that, that's just the beginning, bro. All that does is implement and massages that stuff into our brains to where we get familiar with it and we accept it. Then they're going to go to more of a physical artificial intelligence where you'll go to seeing robot cops and you already see robot dogs and shit. Yeah, they'll create a scenario. They'll orchestrate some shit to make you think, yeah, we need some police cops because the robot cop, we need robot cop because the robot cop walked in the house and was able to get the bad guy and all this shit orchestrated. And it's going to be on every news station in the world. They want you to accept this shit. Why do you think TV was created in the first place? Social media was created in the first place. Newspapers was created in the first place. Radio. Why do you think that, bro? All that shit was created to feed you information that they control. And once they wrap it around your whole entire life, meaning radio, TV, television, everything around you promotes what they're trying to push in your head, it creates your reality. So now you're stuck in a dream world because they the one injected this bullshit as poison in your mind. Like you don't know the difference between what's real and what's fake. You don't know, it's a psychosis. I told y'all, what is a psychosis? When your feelings and emotions are so impaired that you lose sight of reality, homie. This is what's going on. You really got people thinking there's multiple genders. Bro, you either a man or a woman. But that's how brainwashed the world is, and it's getting even worse. So basically, remember this. If I put you or a person puts someone in an environment where they control what they see, what they smell, what they touch, what they eat, and all these things is related to what they see around them, it creates their reality. This is where the whole Tarzan movie comes from. If you're raised around animals, you're gonna have animalistic ways. Cause this is all you know. You're gonna run like an animal. You're gonna act like an animal. You're gonna do animal shit. I seen this video where this girl was coming from Africa for the first time, and they was putting them in these classes, and she said they was telling them how black people are over here in America. They're not to be trusted. They steal. They do this. They do that. Like their introduction of black people over here was already like premeditated. It was already put in their minds that say, hey, don't trust them. They lie. They steal. Get away from them. That's all they knew until they got over here and they saw what an African American was. They never knew what an African American was. And this is why they keep us away from certain things. And that's why I say, bro, these people have done a real number on us as people. You're born into a world where they inject whatever they want to inject into you, and you don't know the difference between this or that because you wasn't taught that shit. They didn't tell you that. People think because water is clear that it's good. No, that's the worstest thing in the world as far as water. That ain't even water, to be honest. That's one of the biggest, oh my God. Water? That's a whole nother video. You talking about the biggest scam in the world. But we've been taught because it's in a clear bottle or it got a little tint of blue like Aquafina, not Aquafina, but the Sunny. The bottle got like a little hint of blue in it. So it makes the water look a little blue. See how they play these And people don't think like that. When you open water, it shouldn't fizz. But again, when you put it in an environment where they tell us everything we know, we are the easiest people to be controlled. Because they control our education, they control what we know and what we don't know. They rewrote history. We don't even know who the fuck we are. We don't even know where we come from. Sad but true. Anyway, man, like I told y'all, man, if y'all made it to the end of this video, man, thank y'all so much. I've been working on my new clothing line that's finna drop. That's what I've been busy doing, you know what I'm saying? And I hope y'all love it. And like I tell y'all all the time, man, it's all good, man. And double salute all the people that's waking up. Thank y'all. You know what I'm saying? For the ones who didn't know, who thought their cousin was crazy, or they thought their next door neighbor was crazy, or their boyfriend or their girlfriend was crazy. Because, you know, when you're trying to wake somebody up, that sleep be a mug, you feel me? But double salute to y'all who waking people up, and double salute to y'all that's becoming awakened. It's your boy Papa Duck. Like I tell y'all all the time, in order for you to be found, you must first be lost. I'll holler at y'all on the next one.
If nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods.
Wow, give a nigga a break. I live in white neighborhoods too, Where the f*** do I supposed to go? Now, he's quoting a poll. Now, those people that voted that way, of course, that is remarkably racist. Yeah. But based on a poll, you're telling white people to get away from me? What the fuck did I do? Yeah. Besides being black. Yeah. Yeah. You don't see the irony in that shit? Yeah. Who are you, the modern Paul Revere? The niggas are coming, the niggas are coming. Everybody running, the niggas are coming. That's pretty much what you did. And you basing this on anecdotal evidence? Anecdotal evidence. This is not empirical research. You know the difference, right, between anecdotal as personal feelings and empirical scientific research? You're basing all this on a poll. And this poll, you don't know how that question was framed. And you don't know what that question means to some black people. Yeah. You jump into conclusions, and you come with the idea that half of this country, this black is racist? Yeah, CRT has, really hurt the minds of a lot of black people. And that phrase, is it okay to be white? Yeah. That's been pushed as a phrase that white supremacists use? Yeah. Yeah, that's probably more likely why black people said they disagree with that statement. That's why. Yeah, of course there's racist black people. Yeah. I'm not doubting that. Yeah. But based on that poll, you're telling people to get away from me. Yeah. That's what I have a problem with. And then of all people, you quote Don Lemon to justify the way you see this? You know Don Lemon is a fucking moron, right? Yeah, he is, man, he is. I mean, look at... He's a bad look for gay people. He's a bad look for society. He said this just a couple days ago. Check this out.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s.
I don't know what the hell Don Lemon talking about. My wife in her 40s, she's in her prime. Man, that woman's in her prime.
So this dude is so stupid. The guy you quote, who gives you justification to feel the way you do, he went to, that's because he Googled something.
Yeah.
Because Google says it, it must be true.
Yeah, that's what you call a jackass.
But you're using this dude to validate your feelings regarding this topic. A poll.
Anecdotal poll.
You want white people to stay away from me?
I didn't even do nothing. My only crime is being black, being a red bone, being light skinned.
I mean, I grew up in the South. I've experienced racism, but you're giving ammunition people to be racist just because of a poll.
Yeah.
I mean, people. I mean,
this is how this is how the whole thing with Hitler started, man. Statements just like this. You alienate a bunch of people, a group of people, based on anecdotal evidence. That's dangerous. And you're giving white people the okay to be racist.
Yeah, and as far as being like white people, I mean, everybody's now painting this guy as a Trump supporter. Who do you think that hurts?
Yeah, it hurts me, hurts you, hurts the conservative movement. You think black people want to join a movement when people like this is associated with it?
Do you realize how much this hurts, like, during election time?
Yeah. How many votes?
And that's a reflection on you white people. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Did you ever, how just much, they using people like him to take away all our rights to, like, guns and all of that.
Yeah.
When some gun shooting happens, the white supremacists, the Republicans, they don't care about our kids.
Yeah.
That's how they paint you. That's how they paint us. And they use people like him when they make stupid statements to hurt all of us and our rights.
Yeah.
This should, like, piss off Republicans. But instead, I see a bunch of Republicans justifying him because of what other people say on the left, other black people, which is equally as wrong.
Yeah, you black Republicans just laughing and you think this shit's funny? You know you live in a white neighborhood, right? Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go when a bunch of white people show up at your door? Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but you don't realize how
detrimental this man's words are. How damaging, how
it's detrimental to the political, the Republican Party. It's detrimental to the white race.
Yeah.
It's detrimental to the conservative movement.
It's detrimental to humankind, man.
I mean, it hurts us so much. Like, how do you think Biden
got 81 million votes?
And I mean, and
I think he had a little help, you know.
I mean, he got a little help. Why? People more willing to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like as far as helping votes,
yeah,
when they think they're up against a monster on the right,
yeah,
they rationalize why they do things that's illegal.
Why
I'm
not?
not saying they stole the election,
yeah,
but you see what I'm saying? They rationalize why they do what they do because they think the right is just evil. They think it's okay.
Yeah, whenever you try to rationalize a wrong, it's just wrong. You know, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. That's why I took a gun and blew that dude's brains out and took his wallet. I needed the money, man. I need to feed my family. Wrong is wrong. You can't rationalize evil.
Yeah, but I can totally see from the right's point of view that all this stuff, because they hold this guy at this standard, but they don't follow that same standard when it comes to the left.
Yeah.
But it still should not be justification to do what he said.
You should take the high road.
Yeah.
When you came out with this poll, this is what you should have said. You being white and superior and all. You should say, you know what? This poll is baiting us. I don't believe it. Black people are some good damn people. We don't know. This is just anecdotal evidence. We don't know how this question was framed. I think they're going to use this poll to galvanize a bunch of white people to come out and say things on the right that's stupid, and it's going to cause them to put their foot in their mouth so we can paint an ugly stigma around conservatives as being racist.
Why?
And you fail for it.
And why would they do this poll?
Yeah. The question is even racist. You're going to get a racist response.
Yeah. They might have been joking. I mean, you didn't see the people actually vote. You don't know the context of the situation.
You don't even know if the poll is real.
Well, it's a real poll. Rasmussen poll. It was a real poll, but you don't see how the question was asked. You don't know the context
I already
of the
said
situation.
That. Stop repeating what I just said.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Do better. You being black is your only crime. Yeah, man, this is.
I mean, I don't believe you should be canceled. Yeah, I don't believe in any of that. I just think this.
Well, some people need to be canceled, like Hitler, canceled. Yeah, you know. I mean, I'm not with cancel culture, but some people, when they say some remarkably bad things, if it's evil and it's a cancer and it's malignant and it could spread across our nation, yeah, those people, we cancel people all the time. We put them in jail. This is nothing new.
Yeah, but this, what he
You
did.
murdered somebody, you cancel. What, you stole something, you cancel. We've been canceling people since Christ. This is nothing new. When you say something like this, should you hold a position that's in the public light? When you saying these vicious words about black people?
Yeah, but I don't think his comments actually rise to the level of being canceled. I think he should just apologize, which I don't think he's going to do. And you should use this opportunity to be like, look at the damage the left-wing media is doing to the black population.
Yeah.
How they're misleading them.
Yeah. How they misled you? They duped you, deceived you, bamboozled your white ass. You came out and said on camera and then uploaded the video, run. You can't fix this shit. You need to escape. The niggas is coming. Niggas is coming.
Paul revealed, the niggas are coming, the niggas are coming. The niggas is coming.
Run, white man.
It was a damn good show. Damn good show. For more damn good shows, click one of these 2 videos over.
Don't forget to subscribe and like the video and share it with this dumbass who put out the...
I feel like I'm being sucked into something here.
You're actually not. This is not.
This is not a trap. It's always a trap.
It's not a trap. It's honestly, you got something pretty significant right. Because you asked me, is this the time? You feel like this is the time we're going to see a deep fake that could affect things.
Yeah. Oh,
okay?
yeah. When we talked about the elections, kind of in that context. Yeah.
And I said, I think so, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You weren't sure that it would happen, but it seems like we're on that directive.
Well, there is a deep fake out there, and it's not necessarily affecting the election. This isn't a good deep fake, but it came out yesterday and was making the rounds, and it scared a lot of people. Here it is, cut 3.
The illegal Russian offensive has been swift, callous, and brutal. It's barbaric. Putin's illegal occupation of Kyiv and the impending Chinese blockade of Taiwan has created a 2-front national security crisis that requires more troops than the volunteer military can supply. I have received guidance from General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that the recommended way forward will be to invoke the Selective Service Act, as is my authority as president.
Mic check. So now I done played you about 4 videos so far. This is a video I really want you to pay attention to, though. I don't know if you know this or not, but I think maybe 2.3 billion has been sent to Ukraine. I think a couple weeks ago. I think twice now we have sent money to Ukraine. I don't know if you look around your neighborhood, you look around your country. You look on the media for what they do show you, and you see what's going on, and you see the help that we need. We sending billions of dollars. Billions. Now they talking about, not only are we sending money to Ukraine, when you have American citizens that need help, we now are talking about drafting. Listen up now. This is what I be saying. I know I said I wasn't going to talk during these videos, but I really want you to hear this. There's a possibility that Biden might be drafting for Ukraine military. Please listen to this video.
The first to be called in a sequence determined by national lottery will be men and women whose 20th birthday falls during calendar year 2023. Remember, you're not sending your sons and daughters to war. The volunteer military can supply. I have received guidance from General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that the recommended way forward will be to invoke the Selective Service Act, as is my authority as president. The first to be called in a sequence determined by national lottery will be men and women whose 20th birthday falls during calendar year 2023. Remember, you're not sending your sons and daughters to war. You're sending them to freedom. God bless our troops and God bless Ukraine.
I mean, you're right. That's not even a good one.
No, it's not a good one. And it's still convincing enough. The only thing that is really wrong with this is the mouth isn't quite synced exactly. But more importantly, it's too fast. This is based on him, 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's not like...
Now, last thing I'm going to say before I let these videos play out. Remember, it's a deep fake. But a lot of things is ran in the media to get the media perspective. A lot of things is done by politicians. Just like the video we just watched before this. You run out a poll to see how the people will react to it before you actually put it into play, okay? One that you may can recognize. A lot of people been talking about the spill across the U.S. over the last 3 weeks. You've seen where they said it was a movie called White Noise that showed the same thing. Now, we all can go back to incidents that happened, the World Trade Center, 9/11, JFK, President Trump, President Obama. We all can go back to incidents where they showed us in reality TV shows or movies that the future was coming. When I say the future was coming, how we had, they showed us, we seen a episode on the Simpsons that showed us that Donald Trump would be president. We seen where 9/11 was gonna happen. We seen the movie White Noise, one I just mentioned, where the train spill would happen. So what I'm saying is, and what they showing y'all, deep fake is where you run something for the media and then you get the perspective and you constantly build it and build it. And we seen a lot of movies 3 to 4 years ago, a lot of TV shows where homosexuality was coming into play majorly. And now we live in a world today where we just seen a video not too long ago where they tried to force this on Uganda. And the Uganda president said that he would not take aid from the U.S. The U.S. said that if you don't accept homosexuality in your country, we will not aid you anymore. Do y'all understand how, okay, this is why I don't talk on the videos no more. I just want you to listen. But you get my message. All right.
Right. He said all the words in the right order. That was the only thing that stuck out.
And really, that is. If he would have sounded more like today, and it would have been slower, and it would have been like, and you gotta go out in the window.
And he threw in like a Bananas Foster reference in the middle or something.
Like my pop used to tell me all the time, son, you're not going to war, send somebody else. Then it would have been believable. But this is the kind of thing that is going to happen. This is the kind of thing that's going to happen. And it's going to be most likely from a foreign source.
Although it could also come from, I don't think American political operatives are above it either.
No.
Now,
on any side.
Let me take your temperature on this, because I know you've read so much about this stuff, and you've really been on the AI stuff for longer than as far mostly anybody that I know. My guess is a speech like that, which if you're listening, of course, on radio, you're not seeing this, but like it's a flags behind Joe Biden official speech. We're going to war. Mm-hmm. We're calling up troops. Is less likely to be the thing that would affect an election in 2024 as let's say an off mic moment. If you remember the Mitt Romney 2012.
Yes.
47% people don't even pay taxes. They don't care. First of all, of course, that statistic seemed completely right, and why it was controversial, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't even see his face in the video clip of that. It was him, a kind of a side profile, and you couldn't really even make out he was saying it. You just heard his voice. Something like that was convincing, where you could see his voice.
Absolutely. I could see something like that coming out about Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. Especially someone like that. He's the governor of Florida. He's well known, but
you get him
5 years ago. You throw a clip of him. They caught him saying this.
Yeah.
I think 80% of the left would believe it immediately, whether it would look good or not.
And it would go around and around and around. And even when it was debunked, it still would leave a taint. It'd be enough.
The Indians who remained hid, or they lied about their race. If they could pass for Caucasian, or if they could pass for black, they took on another ethnic identity. But when they did that, they lost their culture, their culture, their culture. But when they did that, they lost their culture. They had to hide and pretend. So now, today, people get really upset and say, well, you're not really Indian. Well, yes, they are. They had to lie about who they were. They lost, for lack of a better word, their public identity.
Directly that happened to my people I knew.
I'd love to hear everything, because guess what? We don't get to hear. It's hidden. Even like our truth, the fact that African Americans were in America before the Pilgrims. Even like our truth, the fact that African Americans were in America before the Pilgrims. That truth is hidden. That we are actually the Native American.
The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. Charles Ernest Hazard confronted officials who enforced this practice. His brother, Joseph, one of the oldest members of the Narragansett Nation, recalls the moment.
Indians couldn't vote. So he went up to the State House and he says, he saw the charter that the Indians can't vote. And he says, you vote, nature? And he says, no. He says, I consider myself a Narragansett Indian. If I vote, I'm voting under Negroes could vote, but not an Indian. And he said, I consider myself a Narragansett, not a black, so I'd like to have that changed. So they did.
Let's just change the name as much as possible to throw you all off so you really don't know what's going on. Let's keep switching the identity to hide the people. Why don't we just keep renaming you? Are you Negro? Oh, no, you're not Negro. No, you're colored. No, you're not colored. You're African American. And this is what they name you. The slavers name you this. Because I know a white guy who grew up in South Africa, and he now lives in America. He is an African American, and more African American than most. Do you see how African American is a misnomer? It's a misnomer. Don't check that box. It's a title given to blacks by democratic slavers, okay?
I had this conversation with my lady last night, and I asked her, is she African American? I asked her, is she African American? She said, and the reason she did that because she know if I asked her something like that out the blue, she know I'm getting at something, so she was cautious about her answer. Most y'all in here don't look nothing like an African. You have no ground base to say you're African. But it's important for the people that control the country that we live in. It's important for them to convince us that we are African. And I know I might be rubbing some people the wrong way because it's hard to break something you've been taught since you was a kid. It's hard to stop eating snacks. It's hard to stop eating sugary food, knowing today that sugar is the most powerful drug. But can Anonymous stop eating sugary foods? Let me try and see, don't I be up at 3, 4 in the morning looking for some snacks? See, it's hard to break what we've been taught since we was a cub. But none of us are African. But we'll forever keep believing in something that we are not, which we'll never possess what we owed. And I know people have a hard time having that conversation. What do you mean what you owed? Well, my mature people understand what I mean. There's no way when you look around, everybody, every culture has heard of this word called reparation. Everybody except one group. How is that possible? How is it possible that an African can come to America and receive loans and grants, but an American citizen? Well, you go do your own research, and then you'll see where I'm getting at.
Hey, let's be real. They want you to check the box, just like they want the Anglo-Saxon to check the Caucasian box. It's not true. Caucasian box. The box, just like they want the Anglo-Saxon to check the Caucasian box. Just like they want the Anglo-Saxon to check the Caucasian box. It's not true.
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. Weren't the pilgrims. Weren't the pilgrims. Weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Just like they're saying, on
Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Just like they're saying, this black guy got beat to death in Memphis and by these racist cops. Racist cops, huh? All the cops were black. But now it comes out that the guy was screwing around with one of the cops' ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, something like that. It's like, but when they find out that these counties and especially out in California and everything, they have gangs within these law enforcement groups, and they go around and because who's going to second guess them? And you wonder why there's over 60% of the prison population is black. I'm not saying African American because they're not African American. They're the Aboriginals. They were here.
No such thing.
This is my point when I tell y'all, stop looking at all white people as evil. You have white people that go out their way to bring you truth. Everybody doesn't think and operate the way that the elite white Caucasian, or if you want to call them Caucasian or white, the elite of the world. Your kids go to school with people that do you know in okay, let's say this. Do you know in the Caucasian culture they call each other poor white trash? The same way we would say, look at them niggas over there doing all that fuck shit, poor shit. See, it's not about race. You remember that video game we just was playing? That game, Like a Dragon, where my whole storyline was trying to get rid of class. Class is what this is. Who is the elites of the world? So you're looking at two brothers right here. They people might say, oh, them just the poor white motherfuckers that don't know what they talking about. So it's not about race, it's about class. That's how the world judges who gets in, who gets out. Who's successful, who's not. You can be a well-off black person, white person, Hispanic, Asian, and somebody in your race can still say you the poor version of what we are. See, there's many people out here that know the truth and not afraid to say it. We have to stop being afraid to say the truth.
Because they were the true Native Americans. They're the copper colored race. Look up Dane Calloway and watch his shows. That man, I mean, Dane Calloway on YouTube, oh my God. I mean, he is fucking beyond brilliant. The research he does, whoo! He goes way deep into this shit. And when you start realizing, it's like, what they, because you'll have people out there saying, oh, well, it didn't happen to me or this or that. It's like, if it did happen to you, we should fucking look at everything and think, you know what? That happened to us. Because it doesn't matter what skin color you are, what fucking, I don't care if you have, whatever. If you're a human being, they did it to us. You are, what fucking, I don't care if you have, whatever. If you're a human being, they did it to us. Color you are, what fucking, I don't care if you have, whatever. If you're a human being, they did it to us.
Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land. We actually took it from black people. Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land. We actually took it from black people.
So it feels like this entire COVID, which we know is just a big lie, this whole thing for the last 2 years, really, is it fair to say, Santos, before you go, that this never would have happened if we would have been just more awake and knew where we were? And this, so their ploy so far has played out. They were able to pull off this COVID thing because we've been programmed for so long. Right?
Yes, brother.
Yeah.
They did a mud flood. They did some plagues. They did it to the Chinese with opium. They did it to the Australians. They did it to the American Indians with smallpox.
Yep.
They just go into a country, plague the whole place out, and then take over their buildings. New York was already there for thousands of years. San Francisco was there for thousands of years. Los Angeles was there for thousands of years. They were built by the indigenous people who were black and Indians as well. The black people, they weren't brought over by slaves. They are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans. They don't come from Africa. They were already here. And Indians as well. The black people, they weren't brought over by slaves. They are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans. They don't come from Africa. They were already here, and they plagued them out. And they stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled. The Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled. Stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled. Stole their knowledge, stole their history, and now we're just left wondering who we are, where we come from, where we're going. We don't know anything.
Wow.
Because they did a catastrophe on this earth just only a few hundred years ago.
This is very important, what we're fighting for, because I'm tired, I'm really tired of the manipulation. They manipulate our history books. The history books are not true. It's a lie. The history books are lying. The history books are lying. You need to know that. You must know that.
Dane, I'm with motherfucking Coolio right now.
Yo, Dane, I tried to reach out to you several times. I support you, bro. I think you one of the most important black men in America, bro. I think you need to be protected, guarded. You're a treasure.
He just fucking said, you know what? You're not an African. You're a Native American. Yeah. He said this, and I asked him. I said, "Do you know Dane Calloway?" And he said, "Yes."
Of course I do.
Of course he does.
I knew this already. I knew from my grandparents. My grandparents were full blood Native on my father's side.
I don't know how many people are, have this in their family, but my granddad, my grandfather, not my great-great-granddad, not my great-great-great-granddad, my granddad. My grandfather on my mother's side is full Indian. Or should I say Native American? Some people can research their stuff closer than others. You don't have to go back 3-4 generations. This is like, listen, I said it before. I'm going to say it one more time. In my opinion, the elderly was the #1 target for COVID. When we don't talk to our elders, when we don't talk to grandma, granddad, grandfather, great-grandfather that's still living, we lose so much information, it don't make any sense. We lose so much information from not having our grandparents in our life. Grandparents are now 30 years old, which are on the same level or less than where we are as kids. Our mothers and fathers don't know half of the stuff that we know as the kids. And when we try to talk to them about the things we know or learned, they disregard us. Tell us to go sit our ass down. What the fuck you talking about? You crazy. You the devil. You tripping. I don't know if your parents told you this. My parents told me this. My father said I was the devil because I told him something ain't right about that church stuff. I believe in God, but why we got people sitting in church praying instead of going out here to put in work? What that Bible gonna do when they in the building all day praying for one day and then go back out and do the same thing? How do church save us? Why are we not out in the streets causing, making cause and effects? My dad said something was wrong with me. He said he believed I'm the devil. Because I said, I believe in everything y'all saying. But can we go put in some work, Dad? Can we not just come to this building on Sunday? Can we go out and help somebody? Can we go talk to people? Oh, man, boy, you must be high again. I don't smoke, Dad. You smoking some? Don't you question God. I ain't questioning nothing. I'm questioning us. How you gonna tell me I'm African? Come on, make it make sense. You want me to believe I'm an African? Tell that to somebody that still believe the government is meant to help us. Tell that to them. Tell that to somebody that believes school is helping us. You go to school for 12 years. When you got kids out here graduating at 9 years old, finishing colleges, or in their second semester of college. So what does that tell you? If you got kids that are 9 years old in a second semester of college, then what does that tell us about school? It don't need no 12 years, so why you got us in there for 12 years? What are you doing? Oh, that's called programming. That's called, I don't think they'll get it in 4 or 5 years. Let's put them in there for 12 years. They'll understand rules and regulations of the world.
And then my mother's grandfather was my great grandfather. My mother's grandfather is full blood Chata. Yeah. Not Chata. I know the.
When I tell you my grandfather, not my great grandfather, is full-blooded Native American, I'm gonna call him. I'm about to call my cousin, and cause I think he at my granddad's house right now. I'm about to call him in a second. I'm about to text him, and so you can see I'm not bullshitting. I know I'm not African. Ain't nobody trick me and tell me I'm African. Because I talked to my grandfather. I grew up around my grandfather. I done seen. Where I'm from in Mississippi is deep in the country, on Native American land. But I'm about to call my grandfather in a second. Hold on.
Right pronunciation, and I've been trying to tell niggas all the time what they are, that they need you. You know what I'm saying? We the melanated Neezy from Turtle Island. I know where I'm from.
Turtle Island.
I know where I'm from, brother. I'm trying to spread the word. Motherfuckers listen, but they don't give a fuck. And that's the shit that the white man. That's that eugenics shit. You know, they done steal that shit in our people so bad that they don't want to think different. You know what I mean? I support you though, bro.
We support you.
I support you, bro. And, you know, whatever you need. I got soldiers out here too, ready to ride. And they ready to put their money together too. I got niggas that's ready to go buy 1,000 acres.
That part. And start a fucking city.
Exactly.
That's what I always be talking about.
Who are you?
You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? Where did it go? Where did you lose it? Who took it? And how did he take it? What tongue did you speak? How did the man take your tongue? Where is your history? How did the man wipe out your history?
Plecker and his friends convinced the Virginia legislature to adopt very restrictive legislation in 1924. It's called the Racial Integrity Act. With this legislation, it was decreed that there were only two possible categories. One is white, which means a person, you check that you're white if you have white ancestry, Caucasian ancestry, and absolutely nothing else. The other category is everybody else, and that's colored. So this was very hard on Virginia's indigenous community because, in a sense, it wipes away their identity.
What culture do you consider yourself a part of?
I am Cherokee Native American, born here in Virginia. I have no African heritage whatsoever and no African relatives. I am all Cherokee Indian.
How come?
You probably are too.
Well, why do you say that?
Because the Indian is black, actually. It's the same people that Columbus met when he got off the boat. We are not African. This is Richmond, Virginia, where the first 20 slaves landed. There's no record.
It's funny that people would believe that black is actually a race. Make that make sense. Black is not even a race.
Of any other slaves landing here. Those 20 Africans that landed here were on a boat that was hijacked by Portuguese. The real black slaves here were Portuguese. Most of the slaves in this country were actually white, not black. My people owned slaves. We weren't slave owners. 96% of the southern slaves were owned by the 5 tribes of the Lakota. I am Cherokee, the largest of the 5 tribes.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
10-4. You have a good one.
I'm just here to make you think.
The Bible is plagiarized. They kept out a lot of the stuff. In the modern day Bible, God is actually mistranslated as God singular, when in true reality, when you go to back into the ancient text, it's really God's with an S. They took off the S to make it the monotheistic mindset. When you read the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, you realize that they copied all that ancient text and put it into Old Testament of the modern day Bible. It's all written in stone. These have been translated since the 1800s. So Cambridge and the British Museum have translations, and then UCLA did an amazing thing. There's over 1 million tablets that have now been, out there, and they've got hundreds of thousands translated. UCLA cataloged all the tablets digitally online and made an online tablet translator called a UCLA CDLI Cuneiform Digital Library. And you can go there and take a tablet off the shelf and drop it into a translator and read it for yourself. They're real tablets, and I've done lectures on this for the last, 4 or 5 years. These tablets are amazing because this is as close as we're going to get to the truth. And they're talking about beings living in other planets, coming to this planet, engaging mankind, teaching mankind about weapons, war, genetically modifying humans for the purpose of turning us into slaves to do a lot of the labor for them, and living on Mars. The most recent version is back around 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, which is why people who believe in the Bible believe the Earth is only 6,000 years old, because the story is copied from 6,000-year-old tablets. That's the beginning of the creation of the Earth, is in the Enuma Elish. That's actually the creation of our entire solar system is in there. The Earth is just a small part. According to the book of Enoch, which is one of the apocryphal books left out of the Bible, but he's important because he's mentioned in the Bible. These beings came from heaven to earth, and then they have names. They taught human beings how to make weapons, how to even make beer and all this other crazy stuff. And then they took Enoch on a trip to the Earth's atmosphere and beyond, and he saw the Earth and the shape of the planet as a sphere, and he saw that he was living on a giant ball, and then brought him back. This is all in the book of Enoch. The only Bible that has the book of Enoch in it is the Ethiopian Bible. It's the only Bible in the world that actually incorporated the book of Enoch into their canonized text. The rest of the Bibles omitted the book of Enoch. The wars of these gods can be found in the book of Deuteronomy. These are the Atlantean wars that everybody's trying to figure out what happened. It's in the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible. All the wars are right there. The modern day Bible, anybody can go open their Bible and go, oh, Deuteronomy, let me read this. They don't read it, especially in Bible study. But the reason why is because you have God, which is actually gods, plural, going to war against other gods in other towns and cities and other regions of the planet and sending human beings to these places to go to battle and sending angels with them with battle gear on to fight and kill. And the words are, go there, get in, kill the women, kill the children, kill the animals if need be. And if you see any women that you like, you can rape them. These are the exact words used. I want you to get a Bible and look it up. And if you decide you rape them, if you decide you want to keep him as wife, you can take him, but bring the spoils of war back to me. This was these internal battles going on from one region of the world to another region of the world, stealing and fighting over humans and resources. These people have become so evil, fighting against each other and utilizing human beings as chattel. And that's all in the book of Enoch. These aren't exactly the stories that, described. I don't think it's talking about the creator of the universe in that book. When I started Googling and trying to find if anybody was looking at these anomalies, I came across information about the Anunnaki. That's the name of the beings that, according to the ancient texts, came from heaven to earth. In the Egyptian culture, they call them the Natiru. And they said they came to earth and turned mud into a kingdom. In the Bible, they call them the Anak. They have these names in all different cultures. They all show up around the same time in every culture. And I started finding more instances of them in every culture I looked into around the same time period. And I go, these people really came here at some point in the distant past. It seems to be now around 450,000 years ago they arrived. And about 200,000 years ago, according to the text, not me, they started genetically tinkering with human beings, saying they were adding their essence to them to get us to do the labor for them. So around 200,000 years ago, they started tinkering with us. And there's a famous cylinder scroll and with some text at the British Museum with Isis, the goddess Isis, who was one of the original Sumerian pantheon, not Egyptian, Sumerian. And she's holding up a baby and she says, the first Adamu, which means first man, my hands have created it. And she claims to have taken this baby to term for 10 months in her own womb to create the more modern version of Homo sapiens sapien. The Anunnaki, well, the term itself means those who came from heaven to earth. And these Anunnaki are beings that came from outside of earth to earth from many different places, potentially. But these Anunnaki, these are the original Atlantean people. They created an Atlantean civilization. How do I know this? The tablets, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is my first book, is about the Emerald Tablets. It's a bestseller right now. It's #1 out of 3 million books on Amazon. Why? Because it's talking about the gentleman that ruled over the land of Chem before it was called Egypt for 14,000 years. He left behind these tablets that he authored himself. He didn't have a scribe write them. Back in the day, it was typical. If you were considered a god, you would have a scribe write your work. He wrote them himself. He talks about the Great Flood. He talks about civilization declining and having to be brought back to a high level. He talks about all this stuff in the Emerald Tablets. And he covers everything from A to B. He talks about having technology in the Emerald Tablets. He has a ship that doesn't sail in the ocean. It flies into the sky until the earth disappears, until he gets to his place appointed, and then it descends from the sky back down to the land. This is 36,000-year-old text. And what's interesting about this text, where Jesus is talking in the Bible, quoted as being saying things in the New Testament of the Bible, I have side by side the verses from the Bible and the verses from both the Atlantean. Guess what? They're the same. But which came first, the chicken or the egg? One is 2,000 years old and the other one is 36,000 years old. A lot of the stuff in Egypt in the dynastic era was already there when dynastic era started. So a lot of the things that are really super megalithic and really old were there. They inherited those things. If you go to Mexico, where the Teotihuacan complex is located, which is a mirror of the Giza Plateau with the 3 pyramids aligning with Orion, the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon, and so forth, those structures were there before the Mayans got there. And even the Mexicans will tell you that the Mayans inherited what was, they built nothing. They even teach that in the university. They built nothing. Matter of fact, the Mayans didn't know who built that stuff, so they named them Teotihuacan. That's where the name came from. But when you go to the ancient text, you find out who built it. Thoth the Atlantean, who ruled over the land of Chem, ancient Egypt. He left because he was battling with his brother, Marduk, in the Bible. But Marduk is also known to the Egyptians as Amun-Ra. This is why people say amen at the end of every prayer. He's the one who said, at the end of everything, giving thanks, you say my name. That's where amen comes from. He left because of battling with his brother, and he went to Mesoamerica, and he took Olmecs with him. And they kickstarted and built the Teotihuacan civilization. So the evidence is all there. It's all in tablets. Everywhere I go in Egypt, I'm famous because I'm saying the things that they want to say. We did a live podcast on the Nile, and the Egyptologist was there. And she said, we love Billy because he's saying the things that we can't say or we'll lose our jobs. And we believe everything he's saying. We know this for a fact. We grew up learning about this thing, the real truth about our history, but we can't speak it to the general population or we're in big trouble. But they've already adopted it. The Egyptologists, the homegrown ones, have already adopted this information. The foreign ones haven't. But the big problem with this information is that it's detrimental to the system and the status quo. it literally would break down religious systems overnight. You're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar system. A religious system collapse globally would definitely affect the global economy almost overnight. But that will go away because people realize the information that they have been brought up learning is actually severely inaccurate, and that the information is based on plagiarized tablets. And the real stories are in the tablets. A full, unedited, undoctored human, when I'm going to change these words around here and there, you know, that's not done in the tablets. The tablets is what it says. When you come to the Bible, all of a sudden you get to a lot of text like Jesus saying, honor your slave master as you would honor me. Do you think that this guy would really say something like that if he's all this light, and he's a light being, and he's all about love and salvation, and he's telling you now, no, you better obey that slave master? Come on, that's somebody, you know, let me write this in there because it's going to benefit us when you write this in. We can tell the slaves, hey, you see what Jesus said? You better listen to Jesus. So this is a lot of twisting and turning. The Bible is a remix, is what it really is. And so all of a sudden you bring this real information, all this stuff collapses overnight. We're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar control system gone like that. That's why I love the tablets, because I know, I'm not saying they're 100% accurate, but they're as close as I can possibly get. I'm taking out all these other steps in between that have happened between Islam and Christianity and Buddhism and all these other religions that have taken from the same tablets. And now I'm getting as close as possible to the original source as I possibly can. I'm reducing some of the error, you know, effect there. You know, I think at this point now, they've conditioned us so much with movies and stuff like that, because we have this gene in us, this worship gene, which was inserted into the human genome. We know this now because scientists have actually found the worship gene. You can turn it on and they can turn it actually off. Yes, we have a worship gene. And so it makes us want to worship something outside of ourselves, when in true reality, we should find the power inside. And this was inserted by the Anunnaki. That's my hypothesis, I should say, on this one. But this gene has been found, but it's happened around 200,000 years ago. Now, something else happened around that same time. Chromosome number 2 in the human body was pulled out, fused together, and then 2 telomere caps are put on each end. Telomere caps have our genetic material that allow our cells to replicate. It has the biological buffer material in it. Now, when the buffer material runs out, that's when your body starts the death process. Now, around 200,000 years ago is when the tablets say this occurred at the Tower of Babel incident, which made it into the modern day Bible. The Tower of Babel incident, where in the Bible is God who comes back, Yeshua, Yahweh comes back, and he sees the people building a tower into the heavens, and he gets pissed off and he destroys the tower. And he said, that's it. Man's years will be 120. They'll never live more than that. And I'm going to confuse their languages and separate them and spread them out all over the planet so they can't talk to each other. But in the Sumerian tablets, it was actually Enlil, who's Yahweh in the Bible. He comes back and sees this, and he goes, oh man, these people are getting too smart. They're going to realize they don't need us to rule over them. So he confused their language, broke everybody up, made different languages. There's only one language at the time. Then, you know, the years will be 120, shortened the lifespan. Before then, people were living for hundreds of years. Now, the maximum lifespan that they found out at Harvard that a human being could live on average would be 120 if it wasn't for the poison and everything else going on, you know, toxicity in the foods and the atmosphere. And they discovered, they started experimenting with mice, and they were able to stop the degradation of the telomeres and got the mice to live 3 times their normal lifespan. All this information would be mind-blowing information to come out if this truth was really told about our ancient past and what really happened. People would realize we've been altered, genetically modified. Our lifespans have been shortened so that we can subjugate it and ruled over. We never lived long enough to really figure out what's going on. But by the time we figure it out, we're gone, and another generation starts over from zero again. And so we're at this precipice now. We need to be able to pass this information on from generation to generation and teach them the real, true ancient history so that we can break this cycle that we're in of this being a boot on our neck and being ruled over by a small handful of people. Less than 100 people on this planet control 8 billion people. Less than 100 people run the lives of 8 billion people worldwide. They know what you smell, eat, taste, touch, hear, think, and they control everything you do, where you can go, where you can't go. And so for us to take back control of this planet, we need to know this ancient information. We need to know what happened in the past so we can make a better future, because the past is prologue. We can't take control of this planet until that happens. And so to answer your question is this: once people understand this fundamentally, the true reality is we'll take back control of our planet. These beings, they don't land and walk around. They're waiting for us to grow up. I think that the ones that had subjugated us have been long gone after the last pyramid war that happened about 5,000 years ago. And the ones that are looking at us now, that we see these UFOs, UAPs flying around, not all of them are there, some are ours, but the ones that are from other places, they're watching us and they're looking and they're saying, you know what? They're still crawling. They're not ready for us yet. When they learn how to walk, when these 8 billion take back control of their planet and stop allowing less than 100 people to put a boot on their neck and divide them, and all these divide and conquer tactics, they don't love one another, they don't respect one another, they don't respect even themselves. When they grow up past that level, they will show up. Because back in the ancient times, they would show up. People were so, the IQ wasn't there yet. We were just hunter-gatherers living around and we didn't have a weapon to fire back at them. Now, somebody shows up, everybody wants to try to take it out of the sky. We want to get this technology, we want to co-opt it, we want to reverse engineer it, we want to weaponize it. That's another thing, real quick before we go on. They look at our planet and they go, okay, they know how to split the atom. Interesting. Oh, they've got weapons. Let me check out the codes on these weapons. We know this because UFOs have showed up at military bases and deactivated nukes in broad daylight, as testified before Congress by actual military officers and nuclear physicists. But they say, okay, well, they got all these nukes aimed at their own planet while they're still on the planet with no escape hatch. So just saying, we're going to just keep looking. We have to just monitor and look at the situation and just keep seeing how long will it be before they wake up.
People are naturally curious, and the idea of something unexplained or unknown can be intriguing. Mysterious aircrafts and encounters often involve mystery and uncertainty, which can be exciting for some individuals. The idea that we may not be alone in the universe is a fascinating and exciting prospect for many. Over the last few years, residents in Turkey have been reporting an increase in mysterious aircrafts, going on to note that they don't match aircrafts such as planes and helicopters, and on some occasions have been seen flying at incredible speeds. Various photographs and videos have been making their way online, showing what appears to be glowing orbs and silent objects in the sky sitting in the sky, with residents saying that they don't make a sound. One of these videos shows strange white orbs flying around buildings. A few moments later, there's a lightning strike, which goes on to reveal a large object sitting stationary in the sky. When this footage made its way online, it caused various people to put forward different theories to try and explain it. Some suggested that the mysterious aircraft was genuine and that the orbs could have been sent out by the larger craft, while others said that the video could be real, but that what we are seeing in the sky is just a natural phenomena that gives off the appearance that a large object is there. Skeptics also said that the footage is most likely fake and created by special effects. Interestingly, those who have researched unidentified objects have said that orbs are one of the most common phenomena that's witnessed, saying that witnesses all across the world are seeing these things, and that as of right now no one is entirely sure what they are. These glowing orbs come in a variety of different colours, ranging from blue, red, orange, yellow, pink, silver, green and black, and most people who have seen them have said that they appear to pulsate. Although mysterious flying aircrafts seem like a new phenomena, declassified documents show the exact opposite, and that officials have been aware of these aircrafts for many years now, and in many cases struggle to explain their origins and how they are able to achieve what they do. During 1952, following the end of World War II and the growing tensions between the NATO allies and the Soviet Union, it was not uncommon for simulated naval war games to take place throughout different strategic points controlled by NATO. What was uncommon, however, were the series of reports surrounding unidentified objects, flying saucers, and encounters with what could only be described as advanced technology. Referred to as Operation Mainbrace, during the month of September back in 1952, there was roughly a 2-week period in which a series of unidentified objects were sighted by countless civilians and military personnel. According to the documents that would later be dubbed Operation Mainbrace, the mysterious sightings began on the 14th of September during a series of NATO exercises known as Exercise Mainbrace. Interestingly, this happened only a few months after the sightings of strange crafts were made over Washington, D.C. in the United States. The Exercise Mainbrace included more than 200 naval ships, 1,000 planes, and 80,000 soldiers from several NATO countries, with the purpose of practicing war game-styled maneuvers that would better prepare the NATO allies for a believed to be eventual European attack from the Soviet Union. However, during the exercise, ships were alerted by top Pentagon officials to keep an eye out for mysterious sightings in the area. When later asked to clarify what they meant, the Pentagon officials claimed that their reports were filed in a joking manner and were not military confirmation on the existence of advanced life, a behavior uncharacteristic of naval intelligence and the British government as a whole. Regardless of whether or not the report was filed in a joking manner, a series of unidentified objects would be sighted by military personnel and civilians between the 13th and 25th of September, disrupting the wargame exercises and forcing the Royal Air Force and NATO allies to treat flying saucer reports with grave severity. The first main brace encounter took place on the 13th of September, when the naval captain running a Danish destroyer claimed to have spotted a triangular-shaped object moving across the sky at record speeds that even their most powerful jets could not maintain. The crew of the Danish destroyer confirmed the sightings as well, with Lieutenant Commander Schmidt-Jensen claiming that collected data showed that the craft was moving consistently at 900 miles per hour. Even though the sighting took place at night, the entirety of the crew could see the craft as it emitted a bright blue glow. The second report surrounding the mysterious disruptions was made by the American-owned USS Franklin D. Roosevelt. According to an American newspaper, it reported that a man named Wallace Litwin began to notice many of the crew members running all throughout the ship in a heightened state of alert. Fearing that the exercises had become an attack from the Soviet Union, he began looking for the source of the panic and noticed a large commotion on the deck of the ship. Wallace Litwin wrote that several pilots, flight crew members and top military officials were positioned on the deck, barking orders and pointing at a silver sphere in the sky that appeared to be silently hovering near the ship and following the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt during its exercise. Reporter Wallace Litwin quickly took 4 high-quality coloured photos of the round silver object before it disappeared into the distance. When questioned surrounding the images and legitimacy of the claim, the United States government offered the explanation that the craft was nothing more than a weather balloon that had temporarily dipped down near the battleship during the war games. However, these claims would be put into question, as reporter Wallace Litwin recounts that shortly after taking the images of the craft, he had gone below deck and told his fellow newspaper correspondents that he had just shot a flying saucer, acting as if his camera had been a gun. This claim of military action quickly alerted the ship's executive officer, who investigated the claims himself and found that the craft was genuinely not a weather balloon. According to the executive officer, investigations had shown that a weather balloon had not been released that day. When the officer radioed the Midway, the only other NATO-approved ship in the vicinity, the ship also confirmed that no weather balloons were in the air or unaccounted for. Litwin would write the following report. In other words, the skies above this NATO fleet were very carefully observed, and nothing flew around overhead unobserved. But I knew that I had taken a picture of what looked like a large ping-pong ball 10 feet over my head. End quote. The United States Project Blue Book investigation team would do a follow-up investigation and provide the report that the object moved too fast to have been a weather balloon. One of the most notable accounts of these sightings would take place on the 19th of September at 11 in the morning, and this was when a large silver-coloured disc-shaped object began following a Royal Air Force Gloucester Meteor that had been returning to Royal Air Force Station Topcliffe. Not only did the pilot of the Gloucester Meteor confirm his sighting with a number of military ground crew working at the Royal Air Force Station, but several additional reports had also been filed by observers on the ground, alongside civilian reports of the unidentified object trailing the Gloucester Meteor. The craft was described as being a silvery circular object and began to descend in a swinging pendulum motion, similar to that of a falling sycamore leaf. However, before the craft reached the ground, observers commented that it rotated on its own axis and then shot off at an incredible sudden speed that looked more like a shooting star. Royal Air Force Flight Lieutenant John Kilburn, with the 269th Squadron, commented saying the following statement: "I have never seen such a phenomenon before. The movements of the object were not identifiable with anything I have seen in the air." End quote. Despite efforts made by the British government, the story of the Topcliffe sighting was leaked to the press and made the headline for the front page edition of the September 20th copy of the Yorkshire Evening Press, and the headlines for the September 21st copy of the Sunday Dispatch. As mentioned earlier, this event happened after mysterious aircrafts were seen above Washington. Many people will say that if advanced life forms truly existed, then these visitors from another planet would quickly fly to the leaders of our world and confront them with their concerns or agendas. Depictions from old science fiction movies of the early 1900s showcase this thought more so than others, with props of unidentified objects landing on the White House lawn, filled with alien life attempting to approach the leader of the free world. However, what many are not actually aware of is that back in 1952, this very much proved to be the case. Later referred to by Project Blue Book specialists as the invasion of Washington, D.C. For roughly 8 consecutive days from July 19th to July 27th, the most publicized sightings of mysterious aircrafts took place above the nation's capital. Not only was there a tidal wave of reports that flooded in from the general population, but the reports consisted of high officials and members of the military and Air Force. One of these reports took place at 11:40 in the evening on Saturday, July 19th, and this was from a man by the name of Edward Nugent. Mr. Nugent was an air traffic controller at the Washington National Airport and detected 7 objects on his radar moving at speeds, flight paths, and directions that no known human craft could have produced at the time. Nugent later wrote the following: "We knew immediately that a very strange situation existed. Their movements were completely radical compared to those of ordinary craft." End quote. This was merely the first report out of hundreds of sightings that took place during that time. This later caused a climax by then-President Harry Truman, who ordered the Air Force to investigate and provide an explanation for the wave of sightings and odd radar information data. This further led to involvement from the Central Intelligence Agency that worked with the Office of Scientific Intelligence and the Office of Current Intelligence to lead their own investigations into the matter. Given the credibility of the witness reports, the information retrieved by air traffic controllers and radar data specialists, and further investigations led by the Central Intelligence Agency, the existence of mysterious aircrafts seemed certain. Even with the abundance of evidence and eyewitness testimonies, the United States Air Force Director of Operations said the objects were stars. Many spoke out about this explanation and said that countless military officials tracked these objects and said there was no way these crafts were meteors or stars. So, what do you make of these strange encounters? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.
Right there. I got more, but we're gonna pause right there. Gotta go do something with the lady, and I'll be back tonight around 9 p.m. Eastern time. Appreciate y'all, man. Hopefully y'all, paying attention with me. Like I said, I'm just gonna bring different videos, and I try my best not to give my opinion. We just watch the videos together, we learn, and we dissect it for the real differently. All of us have different opinions. So, you dissect the video the way that you dissect it. But know that I'm never bringing you a fuck video. Never. Believe me, most of the videos I bring you, I already done watched 50% of it. And it's something in there I want you to hear or see. So that's how that goes. So I'll be back at 9 p.m. Eastern, man. Thank y'all for the support. I hope y'all enjoying the content. And I'll see y'all later tonight. Y'all have a good one, man.